Hello, thank you guys for joining me again today. And today we have the beautiful Koiwah Koi-Larbi all the way from Ghana. And she's here. We're going to talk about regional collaboration and the role of community voices in driving sustainable change. Before digging deep into our conversation today, I just want to take this chance to firstly thank you so much for Koyo for making the time. She is a very, very busy lady. And I think now will be the fourth week we've been trying to schedule a
Yeah.
meetup, so I'm glad that it finally worked out. Um, and Koyo, in short, she's really inspiring and impactful individual whose contribution to maternal and newborn health, community engagement, and social entrepreneurship are truly commendable. She currently is has a humanitarian awards from 100 most outstanding female change makers in Ghana from 2020 to 2021, and she also received the Female Social Entrepreneur Award in 2021 from Young Entrepreneurs Award. And she currently sits as the executive director and founder of Action on Preeclampsia Ghana. As the founder, she demonstrates an incredible commitment to reducing maternal and infant mortality related to hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, also known as HDP. And she was fortunate to represent Ghana at the 2023 International Maternal and Newborn Health Conference in South Africa as a guest speaker and the facilitator. And she was also facilitator at the 13th European Congress on Global Health in the Netherlands. As you can tell, if not, Koe has proven to be a strong voice for maternal health on in the continent of Africa and on the global stage in general. She currently serves as a patient consumer representative for WHO Maternal and Prenatal Health 2023-2025 Living Guideline, and as a member of Public Advisory Group for the National Institute of Health and Care Research in the UK. Oh, Koiwa, is there anything that you are not doing? You are putting
No,
everything I change.
we try. It's not much.
Thank
We
you so
try.
much again for your time. Is there anything that I have missed
No,
in the bio?
nothing at all. Thank you for the wonderful introduction and greetings from Ghana.
Thank you so much. So, just a brief bio background. I've heard about Koya since it's like for the past 6 months I've been hearing her name, and in July I was very fortunate to meet her in Utrecht, Netherlands, and she lived beyond what I was hearing. So when I was able to talk to Koya, I was like, okay, I have to get you on my LinkedIn so that other people get to see the greatness that I was fortunate to witness firsthand. So thank you so much again for your time. And the background of how Koi and I were able to meet is that we both lead organizations that um, provide as an ambassadorship for the patient's voice in the preeclampsia and maternal space. Now, digging deep, before digging into the whole aspect of regional collaboration and how community voices drive sustainable change, currently in Ghana, would you consider that the work that you do with APEC, what inspired its founding, and why did you choose specifically patient led advocacy as your flagship?
Mm, mm. Well, great. Once again, thank you for having me here, and I hope we're able to have a successful meeting after so
Yes.
many attempts. And I'm honored to share some of these experiences. So, as to why I decided to focus on the patients-led organization was because of my story and my experiences.
Mm,
And as you earlier mentioned, I lead an organization, an NGO, a maternal and newborn health NGO focused on the hypertensive disorders of pregnancy.
mm,
And this is because I am a four-time survivor of preeclampsia and its various variants, from eclampsia to HELP syndrome, severe hypertension. So it was out of these experiences that in my third experience, where the baby actually died in my womb, I was in my
mm,
recovery period. I was looking to find a group or somebody to
Yeah.
speak to, a patient group, something. And in my research online, all I found was academic publications, and that was not what I was looking for. I was looking for, a certain organization
Yeah.
that could relate practically to the experiences, the negative experiences and the trauma that I was been going through. And so I expanded my research beyond Ghana, and then I found an organization in Australia Action
Mm.
on Preeclampsia. So then I engaged them. I'm like, this is Koiwah. I'm from here. I have this condition. This is the third time. It's just too much. I'm not sure what's going on. I would like to. So they engaged me for some time and later linked me to the APEC UK. So after about a period of some weeks, I went back to them and I said, you know what, you've been very resourceful, helpful to me, and I think I would love to replicate something similar
Mm.
in my context. I seek your blessing, I seek your endorsement. Since this is something that we're going to start, I will use most of your
Yeah.
context for the meantime, and as time goes on, I will contextualize it to fit Ghana as it is. So that was how it started. And then I had the opportunity to go on radio for the first time in Ghana, one of the major private radio, Joy FM. And then after that program, the calls just kept coming, like women calling, oh, so this was the condition I had, I'm a survivor. So then it just started as a
Mm.
WhatsApp group of women of survivors with a doctor and a nurse sort of giving us education. And then 1 year on, it became a legally registered NGO after that. So I realized that, in our Ghana, our context, most of the organizations, maternal health organizations, were all research based, focus based. They were also more, they were variety, right? But we decided that we'll focus on this particular
Mm.
niche of preeclampsia and its related condition because it was the second leading cause of maternal mortality in Ghana, and on the WHO list, it's among the top five. And so we decided to stay focused on that and to be that kind of that experience among many other things. Because if you look at our objectives, at least the first and third one, the first one is to provide awareness creation among
You're good.
going.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, as I was saying, the other third objective of APEC is to provide support to those who have been traumatized by the condition, whether the patient or the family, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
come from a context where we cry during the night and smile during the day, and nobody really
Yeah.
knows what's going on, and we are not encouraged to be open about what really troubles us and affects our mental health.
Mm.
And so, these were some of the reasons why I decided to sort of focus more on a patient-led advocacy organization rather than a research. I mean, I know, yes, I'm an upcoming researcher, but even in
Mm.
my research, it is still a patient-led research agenda that I'm pursuing. And
Mm.
so, it's very important to be able to amplify the voices of others, to be able to empower the voices of others, and we are privileged to be that person that sort of bring those the issues and the concerns and
Yeah.
the feedback of patients to the fore. Yeah.
Mm. I love it. When you were explaining, the things that came to mind is one that from the get go, and I don't know if you realize this, just by reaching out to the organization through your research in Australia, if I remember correctly, that is one first step of regional collaboration. And that just shows, I think, even if you didn't know it, but indirectly, you were laying the ground, the work of something that is way bigger than you. You might have thought
That's
that
true.
this is something just for
Yeah.
Ghana, but
Yeah.
as you can
Yeah.
see now, you are collaborating, talking to someone who's all the way in the eastern
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
Africa, and the collaborations that you have with the universities in the Netherlands as well, the partnership that you have through other collaborations and consortiums that you're working with. So I think that by reaching out to the organization in Australia, that was you planting a seed
Mm,
to the fruitfulness that is
interesting.
right now.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I also love the way that you mentioned the key role that APEC plays in raising awareness, engaging communities, influencing policy, and all of this centering the voice of the patient. And I think that is one of the, I don't want to say flaw, but I think it's something that tends to be overlooked by scientists a lot of scientists, they focus on research, and research is great. But at the end of the day, I really believe that the patients, we as patients and survivors, we bring the humanity aspect in whatever research is being undertaken. Now, coming back to the work that you do with APEC, and I think this is something that you already mentioned as well. Why do you think things such as psychosocial support is critical for survivors, or is critical for the advocacy work that you do with APEC?
Is how do I think social support is critical for the advocacy work that I'm doing?
Yes, yes. Because I know you mentioned things such as we, a lot of women, we suffer in silence. We cry, but we smile and keep it moving. So I don't know if you feel that without adequate social, psychosocial support, without someone to talk to, without women sharing their stories, do you feel that that has a bit of impact in the advocacy work that you do, or you feel that the silence helps drive your advocacy work?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. I think it does. It does actually,
Mm,
because for even my experience, up until I was the third pregnancy, I didn't,
mm,
seek help, right? So
mm,
my first experience, I was very, quiet about it. I thought I could manage it, dealt it with my parents. The second one, because I traveled outside, I did have preeclampsia, but I managed. Okay. Grandma, shh, shh, shh.
you're good. Yeah, you're good. You're good. We have you now.
Okay. Let me know when. Can I go?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. And so, just talking about, as I was saying, I didn't seek help till my third pregnancy, right? And it was the second one that, even though I had that one and I had the baby, so I didn't think it was important to seek some help, despite the
Mm,
trauma. And so, but for the third one, after that experience, it was becoming too much, right? And this was the one the baby died in my womb. And so
mm,
then I was intentional to be like, what is going on? I need to find answers beyond what I'm being told by my mother or anybody else. And so that is how, I sort of sought help from,
mm,
a professional among many other things. Yeah.
hmm. And did you see, by seeking help, was it, did you feel supported? Did you feel that your voice was heard? Did it have any impact on your stories?
Yeah, I think by seeking that help, then I was like, I mean, it took me so long to get that help, right? And I
Mm,
don't think it should take a woman that long to get help when they need help, right? They should be able to identify that I need help and get it as quickly as they could. And they shouldn't let anything stand in their way, including
mhm,
culture, myth, barrier, their own, insecurities, among many other things. Because we live in a context where if you're having any issue with your mental health, the first people you look to are your social support system. If you have
yes.
a partner, the husband becomes a psychologist by force. If you have a mother, a grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
but they can only do their parts. They are not trained to be able to
Mm,
really take care of the whole thing. And so
mm-hmm.
it did impact me in many ways in terms of advocacy, just trying to let the women to sort of empower them to accept that when they feel that they need somebody to talk to or they need that kind of help, they should seek it. It's not
Yeah.
bad. I mean, this is a traumatizing condition. This is a condition that puts you in a whole disarray because
Mm,
it can happen so fast and then the outcome is usually adverse and
yeah.
it's like you start a journey you don't finish, then before you realize you're
Mm,
back at the beginning again. Nobody wants that kind of experience, right? And so I
exactly.
think it's really influenced the sort of messages that we send out there.
Mm. Yeah. And talking about messages and creating a safe space, I really appreciate and admire the work. When you mentioned that you have like a WhatsApp group for survivors, like really integrating social media to bring people together, which brings us back to regional collaboration.
Yeah.
But what really impressed me is I know that one of the initiatives that APEC does is not, you're not only reaching female survivors, but you're also trying to reach the male survivors as well to
Yeah.
get their stories. How
Yeah.
has that initiative been? Have you found it a bit difficult to feel to compared to female survivors, or are you getting positive responses from the male counterparts?
Yeah, I think it's been it's been so it's been us trying to say that hey, the women, this we know is a traumatizing experience for both of you, and so we would
Yes.
like to discuss the paternal mental health as well, and talk
Mm-hmm.
of what they go through, how they've managed, what they think can be done better, whether by the clinicians,
Mm-hmm.
researchers, or doctors during the journey of the pregnancy. And I think the reaction has been mixed reaction. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the gentlemen are not sort of willing or ready to accept that, hey, I may have some issues. I may have been through something that I need to talk about. And so let's
Yeah.
talk about it. So more like in denial, right? And then there are also a few who are like, this is a good thing. We need that forum. We need that space to be able to also engage and vent and see how we can cope with this in subsequent
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy. So it's been a mixed kind of thing, and we are on it. We are hoping to do a first program virtually on International Men's Day, November 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Paternal mental health, 100 men in conversation, just to see how that goes, to pilot that kind of program and gather data to be able to influence a long-term project for them.
Love that. November, International Men's Day. I did not know that. So another thing I've learned from you today. That's great. That's great. Now, again, centering now on regional collaboration. We've met. We've already started conversations and see how we can like work together. Now, based off your experience so far, how do you feel that, or how do you see patient organizations across Africa being able to unite and push for systemic change? Do you see that that's plausible? Do you see that we're like what we're trying to do
Voice,
between
yeah.
Ghana and Tanzania? Do you feel that it's a bit of a push, or do you see that there is potential for other countries to join the movement as well and create sustainable change?
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. You're good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So do I think that it's a push or there's a potential for other
Yes.
um,
Koiwah, I can still
I'm
hear you.
here. Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. It's a regional continent and we have shared experience systems in terms of our healthcare systems,
Mm,
shared political, that we can work on and see how we can do this together. It's not a respect of any person. It's not a respect of whatever your position. It's not a respect of the rich or poor.
mm,
That is the black race. And so I think that what we are doing is a good start for a larger, wider regional by research through data and support. And we recently started this mobilization where we are trying to establish an Africa pre-eclampsia network to be able to have that discussion on how best, what kind of the effects of the condition for us to
mm,
reduce adverse outcome, improve, outcome, for us to support survivors, for us to improve care, no matter how good, if it is not timely, it is useless. So we are also and lead and make decisions on how
mm,
our healthcare system should run. And so that voice, what they say, if you want to go far, you can go alone, but if you want to make an impact, you must do it together. And so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm very excited. You mentioned that there is a conference that we are working on. Fingers crossed, it'll be next year May. So stay tuned. We will push that agenda for it another day. But I'm really looking forward to that to continue unlearning and relearning from you because
Learning.
I know you
Yeah,
have a lot
yeah,
of experience in coordinating such conferences. And something that I'm really interested to see is how the patient voice can be seen in such a scientific conference because it can be very intimidating
yeah, yeah.
to people who are not scientists, such as both of us,
Us.
actually. Yes.
Exactly. And so I think the science people have a way of dismissing or
Mm.
downplaying the relevance of patients' voices.
You have
And
said
so
it very diplomatically. Yes.
no, but that's true. And
Yeah.
I recognize it, and but that is where we need some voices like us to lead the
Mm,
patient group to say, hey, we need to be heard. We are the end users. We have the lived
mm,
experience. At the end of
mm-hmm.
the day, whatever research intervention you bring, we are supposed to benefit from it. It will impact the health system where we benefit from. And the truth is, if you're a woman, you may be a patient one day, right? And you
Yeah.
will be impacted by these very decisions and interventions you make. And
Mm,
so you need to use a tactic of diplomacy, and yet you need to be firm, and yet you need to establish your relevance and your value and push the
mm,
agenda. So it's
mm.
really an agenda thing that you need to be intentional in pushing. Yeah.
Yes, intentional. And you just reminded me the time that we were in Utrecht, when we were closing the training. I remember one thing that I mentioned to the team is that when I came to the training, imposter syndrome was very real because I was surrounded by a lot of doctors, PhDs, and here I am being Catherine with none of those titles.
Exactly.
And one of the doctors in the group came to me. Actually, several doctors came to me individually, and they're like, "You of all people should not have imposter syndrome because even though you're not a PhD holder or a medical doctor, but the input that you had was invaluable in such a way that you're able to represent what a patient goes
Yeah.
through and give them like the humanity factor
Yeah.
when they're dealing with patients as well. So that is something that I really hope can we can showcase in the forefront throughout the regional collaboration that we're going
Yeah,
to have.
yeah, yeah. And you see, because this is upcoming, this patient agenda, patient
Mm,
involvement is upcoming. We need to be highly intentional about it and identify opportunities at
mm,
every stage in a meeting, even in the planning of a meeting, and
mm,
actually in the coordination, even in the planning of a research, be able to
mm,
map out what are the opportunities to involve patients and amplify
mm,
their voice and make sure that they are also heard. Other than that, the
mm.
doctors and the scientists will take over, right? And
Yeah.
so it's being able to intentionally outline and map out in this planning that we are doing, even with the
Mm,
upcoming conference that we are hoping in Tanzania, where
mm,
is the patient opportunity voice amplified in each of these session of
mm.
thematic areas we want to focus
Yes.
on? If you
Yes.
don't do that, yeah, they will definitely have that domineering, position that
Mm.
they used to. Yeah.
Love it. Keyword here, intention. We need to be very intentional about everything that we
Yeah.
do in every conversation that we have. Um, Based off that, what do you think would be the intention? How can we be intentional about showcasing the role of community voices or patient voices in driving change? You've already mentioned one thing in terms of like when we have these conferences or scientific seminars to make sure that there is a patient voice aspect included in it. In terms of the advocacy work that you do, the policies that you push forward, how are you intentionally making sure that the patient voice is visible in the policies that you advocate for?
I think it's being able to sort of whatever policy that you want to push or whatever agenda you want to push, sort
Mm,
of, I don't know, more like an advisory. I wouldn't call it advisory, but sort of you think about it, you deliberate on it with other survivors as well, right?
mm,
This is the agenda we want to push. What are
yeah.
your thoughts on it, right? And I was just having a discussion this morning with my PhD holder where I'm looking at engagement of patients on community being what's the name, a value based thing
Mm,
as against an outcome based. So where
Mm,
involvement and participation, whether it's in research or many other things, should be more of a rights-based, right? Involve them because
mm,
they are the survivors, they have the lived experience.
yeah.
And in involving them, they benefit from the process, which may be an empowerment. It may even impact how they do their lifestyle, even if the outcome scientifically is not as expected, right? And
Mm,
then there's the angle where, well, I'm involving them because based on the plan and based on everything that the analysis, there is likely to be an scientific impact at the end if
mm,
you involve them. So this is sort of something that I'm trying to explore and answer. Which of these
mm,
frameworks is better? And in terms of the engagement of patients, is it influenced by where you live? Maybe in the high income country,
mm,
they can consider it as a rights based because they have the voices, they have the system, they are privileged. But
yeah.
here, can we push the agenda of a rights based, engagement of patients and lived experiences, whether it's in research, design, protocols, or anything? Or because of our system here, we are still struggling with even improving the healthcare system, improving outcomes. So all our mind is focused in when you involve the patients, is it to what extent will it impact?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's really an interesting thing. And as APEC, we try as much as possible to sort of co-create, co-design, co-think,
Yeah.
co-deliberate, right? With all these members and survivors as well. And because of that, some of our volunteers are survivors. And so they are part of
Mm,
program planning among many other things. And then we have a number of also who have either had a family member who had it, that kind of thing. Yeah.
mm. Love it, love it, love it. The keyword, because it's like every time you talk mentally, I'm just taking keywords. The keyword that stood out to me in this conversation is co-creation, and I think that is one of the key things in terms of really being able to push policies to include community voices in driving sustainable systematic change. Now, for co-creation, that's something that you didn't just to touch base on it really lightly. When introducing co-creation to stakeholders that you deal with, how was the perception? Did they accept it? Was there a bit of hesitation? Was it difficult?
Well, I mean, honestly, the concept of co-creation, we got to learn more about it when we became involved in the sports study research.
Mm,
And there was this whole thing about shared decision making, right? And then
yes.
sort of trying to co-create even the treatment plan when a patient
Mm,
is diagnosed with the condition of preeclampsia. And they carried out some research, and the question has always been how much information is too much for a patient, how much
mm-hmm.
information is little for a patient,
Yeah.
because we come from a context where the patient sees the doctors as their demigods. Doctor says this,
Yes.
and so I
Yes.
must do it. Most of the time, they even come out of the hospital not knowing really what the diagnosis is. All they know is doctor
Mm-hmm.
says I should take this, right? And so now it is a good ideal concept, the whole thing of co-creating
Mm,
shared decision making. But it's an ideal concept that is new in our context, especially for our patients, right? And even the
mm-hmm.
doctors themselves, because I mean, they believe they are the experts. So why are you telling me to have a discussion, co-deliberation discussion with the patient on how the treatment plan is going to go, right?
Yeah.
But then it's in for the patients as well. It's something very new. So
Mm,
the difficulty or what I see is we need to continually empower them with the benefits, the value of
yeah.
co-creating, of shared
Yes.
decision making, and its
Mm-hmm.
impact, whether short term, long term, on the
Mm,
treatment or on the research, on the impact, on the intervention. So it's
mm,
something that won't take a year for it to be accepted or to sink in, right? And so as we continue to do that, it's our hope that at least you have a few who take it up, and then when they
mm,
take it up and then they go through the process of research following these principles and there's a good outcome, then they can come and share a success story, right? That
mm.
this is what happened. We co-created, we coded this, there was some this and this,
Yeah.
so they can inspire other patients, other lived experience
Mm,
people to also buy into the concept. So it's an ideal one, but I see it's still at its baby stages in being
yes.
accepted
We need to
in
take it slow. We need to take it slowly.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the main reason that I asked, I know a lot of people when listening to these conversations that we're having, a lot of it is centered around maternal health, global health, but to really understand regional collaboration, we're talking from the context of global maternal health, yes, but everything that we're talking about can be used in so many other scenarios as well. If you're
Exactly.
working with children, if you're working with youth, if you're
Mm-hmm.
working with women in general, co-creation can be applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing for their voices, for the state, for the beneficiaries' voices to be heard is
Mm-hmm.
something that needs to be applicable as well if you want something to really be sustainable and create actual systemic change in our communities. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out real quick. We're almost wrapping up, so just hang in there.
Okay.
With your experience working with policy workers, policymakers, healthcare providers, and even funders and donors, what do you think needs to be done to push for regional collaboration?
What can you rephrase that question again, please?
So, for the stakeholders that you've engaged with, such as policymakers, healthcare providers, donors, funders, what do you feel is their contribution in terms of regional collaboration in pushing for community voices to drive sustainable change? Do you think that they have a role to play, or do you feel that that is something that is solely on us? We're the ones who are supposed to push for regional collaboration.
No. I think, well, the funders, of course. Let me start with the funders. I mean, sometimes they have funding guidelines that are sort of
Mm,
quite unfavorable in
mhm.
promoting, something like regional collaboration. Because when I hear
Yeah.
regional collaboration, I mean, a few things that come in mind, more like, right, and shared
Mm, mhm.
knowledge, and that will require sometimes sort of going to each other's country and being in the context to
Yes.
fully appreciate what is happening. It's called
Mhm.
in terms of the other stakeholders. I think in Ghana, for instance, so far, I think they are doing for maternal and newborn health because in terms of the mortality rates, it's not good for everyone. I mean, some are on the low level, some are on the high level, but
Mm,
given an example of Poland where maternal mortality out of a number 7, and then
mm.
yeah, in Ghana where currently we are actually around 290 something. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's still not the best.
There's still
Even
like more that can be done.
exactly, even a single soul matters, and so I think we just for us to be able to share
Mm,
experiences, share knowledge, share success stories, because
mm.
maybe what worked in this country may work here with a simple, with a
Yes,
bit of a change or a tweak. But then, I mean, we should also do well to share success stories, right? And see how we can learn from each other in that way. Yeah.
nice. Love it, love it, love it. And then I also wanted to see, um, based off that, are there any challenges that you've encountered so far in terms of getting like policy workers or policymakers or healthcare providers to be parts um, of regional collaboration? Have you faced any challenges with your experience, or has it been smooth sailing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So I think, when you start an NGO, before you came in, realize that there's an existing system, there's an
Mm,
existing agenda, there's an existing movement. So you are
yes.
coming in with either to join that existing agenda, or you are coming in with a new agenda for it to be
Mm,
accepted and be part
mm,
of the whole spectrum of agendas. And so the challenges with policymakers is that when you come to them, they already have their plan. They already have where their money should go into in terms of
yes.
the healthcare system and the space itself. They already have who they want to collaborate with, and so one of our difficulties have been to let them appreciate what we seek to do in terms of the cause that we want to push
Mm,
in regards to APEC Ghana, in regards to preeclampsia, among many other things. It's only recently, in the past few years, that they realized that even the condition of preeclampsia is almost overtaking PPH, postpartum
yeah,
hemorrhage. So now it's become such, a key issue that hey, we need to spotlight it. We need to
as
really
well.
put it
Yes.
on top of the agenda now, such that even now WHO is going to hold its first global preeclampsia summit next year,
Yeah.
and because they recognize that we need to bring all the researchers globally to be able to really have a detailed, in-depth conversation about this
Mm,
condition and how we're going to do it at our national, regional level to be able to reduce the menace that it's causing. And so I think that's what the difficulty it is. It is always just getting these policymakers to also accept your agenda, work with your agenda, and integrate it in the existing agendas when it comes to
mm,
what they've planned or what they want to invest their resources in. I mean, an issue of health finances, which is also a very critical issue in our context here.
nice. Love it. That's beautiful. So I just have two more final questions for you. One, when you hear safe pregnancy, what comes to mind? What is safe pregnancy to you? What does it mean to you?
Safe pregnancy. I mean, when I hear safe pregnancy, I think timely access to health,
Mm,
and then the care received is quality,
mm,
and then the the healthcare workers who work with you are adequately trained to be able
ooh,
to take care of you, and after receiving that care, there is also sort of intentionality in looking into your long-term health, so a
mm,
continuum of care.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. Oh, that's very deep. I really hope that healthcare providers can listen and policymakers can see what we expect for our daughters when it's their turn. That we really hope that we'll have reached, health services will have reached that level. And the final question, Koiwah is Koiwah. What legacy would you like to leave in the global maternity health space?
Oh my God. This is a deep question, Catherine. You should have prepared me for it. Legacy. Legacy. I think if there's anything in its barest minimum that I want to leave with every woman, every person who is considering giving birth, is that they need to always take charge of their health, right? And
Mm,
their health is in their hands. So
yep,
it starts with you. So
yep.
be empowered up there
Mm,
and sort of take charge of your health, because when you're empowered and you have this mentality, then
yeah,
you will not accept certain substandard care and consider it as
yes.
quality care, which is what most of
Mm-hmm,
our people here do.
mm-hmm,
Being taking charge of your health means you don't just accept anything, but you question, right? You
yes.
analyze, you also contribute, you also sort of help in that process. So
Mm,
for me, it starts with that. I think
mm.
that at the
Being
end of everything
proactive.
that we, yes, if at the end of
Mhm,
everything that we do in our advocacy, and there's some sort of analysis or research done, and we can see that a certain number of people have changed their lifestyle because of this intervention, and
mm,
they've sort of now changed their lifestyle in terms of being proactive with their health,
mm,
seeking care early when they need to,
mm.
asking the right questions, contributing to the discussion,
Yes.
contributing to the co-creation, among many other things. I think that's good enough, because for me, I think the battle always starts with with
Mm.
with the
Mental.
with your
Yep. Yep.
mental health.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. If there's one thing I'm taking for this conversation is one, what people say about Koiwa is totally understated. You need to meet her. What we've discussed right now, this is just child's play. When you meet her, it's just an amazing overflow of information, and I could spend ages just unlearning and relearning from you. I love what APEC is doing, and I really, really hope that Thrive Beyond Preeclampsia can at least achieve half of what you guys have been able to achieve
You
so
know?
far. And I'm really looking forward to the regional collaboration that we will be working on for 2026, God willing.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
but the one key thing I'm taking away, this is our health, our bodies, and women need to understand that as well. The change all begins up here.
yeah,
Doctors, we love you guys with your degrees and masters and PhD, but women, we know our bodies best. So we should
yes,
really follow our intuition and our gut. When we feel something's not right, we
yeah,
should have the courage and be empowered to ask questions so that we
yeah,
can be properly informed as to what's not going on. What do I need to be prepared?
exactly.
Um, Prepared with what is the best case scenario, what is the worst case scenario, and let me make the best decision
Exactly.
based off the information that you provide.
Exactly. Informed decisions. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
having me.
Yes, it was my absolute pleasure. We will tag your APEC and your page.
Sure.
But for anyone who's watching, I really hope that you're able to learn as well with me from Koiwah and understand that, yes, this conversation was based around advocacy on the global maternal health aspect, but so much can be learned for anyone leading an organization or any organization which deals with
Yeah.
any stakeholder beneficiary.
Yes, and just to add that we
Yes,
just, we just started this regional collaboration, which, has
yes,
just started as a WhatsApp group.
literally a WhatsApp group. Yep.
Cluster network. We already have about 35 members from all over,
Yeah,
Africa, and then those from high income country doing the researches. And then I
yeah,
think when we went to Figo, the announcement was made there as well. And so
mm,
it's really a movement upcoming, and anybody with an
yeah,
interest in maternal and newborn health, focus on hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, should join it, should join the
exactly.
movement, and so that we create a lasting impact for generations to come, because indeed no woman should die giving life, and every child deserves a chance at life. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Beautifully concluded. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you again next month.